Why did it show that? Are we live?
Good evening and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Baywaves. Obviously, we last saw you in 2021 and we're really excited to have this catch-up session with you this evening. It's 2022 and, today we want to give you a chance to get to know us as your host, New year, new me. So you have to get to know me from scratch, all from the beginning. And we're really hoping that we're going to be able to get to know you as well. So please, as we have this conversation, if you feel it's something you are willing to put in the comment section, please do put it in there. We want to get to know you. But other than that, we are going to be having conversations on the type of things you'd love to hear us talking about right here on Baywaves. Remember, this is a platform for the bold African youth. And that has to be you. We want to get to hear your voice. Be bold. Let us know what type of things would you love to hear us talk about. In today's show, you're going to hear a couple of our hosts speak about topics that are very close to their heart, that they feel very passionate about. And we hope that you'll be able to let us know, are you excited about those topics? Is there anything you'd love to add on to those? We want to hear your voice. But before I get started, let me introduce myself before I hand over to my host. My name is Nyeleti Baloy. You've seen me on a previous episode of Baywaves. It's been a long 2 weeks without you. I was really excited after the first episode. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to meet my people. But we've been on a break, and I really hope you've been using this break to think about the type of things you want to see in yourself for 2022. So, like I said, you're going to hear a lot about me going forward in the show. But let me give this opportunity to my co-host, Happiness, to introduce herself.
Good evening, babe. Hi to every one of our listener and audience. Happy New Year. I'm looking forward to being with you this new year because I enjoyed the previous year. And before everything, I just want you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure that you like our videos, comment there, and even here on Facebook, make sure that you follow our page. We are Bold News Radio, and engage. That's it for now. You're still gonna hear a lot from me in this show.
Thank you, Happiness.
And I'm in the comment section, so they should make sure that they comment.
Yes, please. Happiness is going to be looking out for your comments. Please do speak to us in the comment section. We'd really love to get to know you. So as I ask my co-hosts some questions, as they ask me some questions, drop it in the comment section if you feel you're comfortable enough to speak about it. But like I said, I'm not alone. I don't have Happiness alone either. We have another co-host, an amazing person. I'm going to give him a chance to introduce himself. He may not, blow his horn. Cecil?
Hi, guys. I hope you guys are well. I'm sorry for being so slow while I begin. I hope you guys are well. I'm Cecil Mawoko. As it's written, I believe it's written down there. Yes, I am so happy to be here with you guys. Last year was a good year. It closed well, and this year is going to be even a better year. And I hope that we are going to have great engagements. We are going to have wonderful conversations. We are going to enlighten each other and help each other grow. We are going to participate. We are going to change the face of, I was going to say the world, but let me limit it to Africa at the very least, because we are bold youth, and our visions can be small. They can't just be South Africa. It has to be Africa, if you get what I'm saying. So I am happy to have you guys, and I'm happy to be with my co-host here, and let's see what happens. Let's see what we have for you today, and let's hear what you guys have been up to, what you guys have been through, what you guys are planning on having in your life this year. So, yeah.
Thank you, Cecil. I really hope you guys were listening to the comments, the questions Cecil posed to you. We'd really love to hear from you. Like Cecil said, we want to speak to you. I think when we are able to have a conversation like this every once in a while, get to know our viewers, you guys get to know us, it makes it so much easier to get into the touchy-mushy conversations. You know, you feel a little more comfortable with engaging with us, and we really want to get to a point where you are comfortable enough in letting us know, what are your views? You know, what exactly are you thinking? What is going on in your life? So like I said, new year, new me. Okay, let me not take it too far. There isn't really a new me. I'm pretty much the same person, still doing the same things. But I think people definitely have a lot of New Year's resolutions, and I think that's really where this new year, new me comes from. I'm doing my final year this year. I'm so excited. Guys, it's really overwhelming to think about it. So definitely one of my resolutions for the year is to bag this degree. Hopefully with distinction. You know, we are looking to cum laude this, cum laude this degree. Yes. So you know that is definitely one of my resolutions for the year. So I shared something personal, guys. I told you that I wanted to graduate with distinction. I'm hoping y'all will tell me real things. Don't you will tell me real things. But I'm gonna go around the room. We're gonna tell you a little bit about our New Year's resolution. No. Before we jump to the resolutions, how are you feeling about 2022 in general? Are you excited? Are you anxious for what the year has in store? You know, how are you feeling? Happiness?
Well, I've been looking forward to this year since January 2021. There's just something about 2022 that just says, go big or go home. Like, I just feel like this year has a lot in store for me. I'm looking forward to it. There's no any sort of anxiety in me regarding this year. Like, it's just all good feelings.
Oh, yeah. I'm so happy to hear that. Siswa, how are you feeling?
Man, as for me, I am just looking forward to everything that will be happening. I am just excited. I am, man, man, I believe that this year will be a great year, right? But I don't want to jinx it. I really do not want to jinx it. But I think it will be a great year. I think great things will happen, and I'm excited. I'm excited. I was nervous until yesterday. Now I'm being personal. Yesterday, I had the opportunity of meeting some guy around where I currently am. I'm currently based, right? So this guy told me that I need to let go of my fear. He told me that I am nervous and I need to let go of that. So after I spoke to that guy, I decided, you know what? I am going to do exactly that and see what happens. So I am excited, and you know, if people are just giving you advice like that on the street where you don't know them, it means that clearly there is something good coming your way. So I'm just going to roll with that and see what happens from there.
And I just want to second that. So when you were talking about the year, you kept on saying, I think it's going to be great. I think I know you should stop thinking and start believing. There's just something in the power of the tongue, the power in faith. So start believing and stop thinking. Yeah.
Advice taken. I believe I'm refreshing.
It's definitely going to be a great year.
I believe it's going to be a great year.
I definitely believe in the power of the tongue. You know, I think honestly, how I'm feeling about this year is really just I'm ready for whatever the year has for me. You know, I strongly believe this is a year that, you know, God is with me all the time. And, you know, it's really, for me, it's really just about reminding myself that, you know, the year may not go the way that I desire it to go. Things may not work out the way that I want them to go. But I truly believe that God is definitely in control. And regardless of what the year throws at me, if what's happening is his desires and his will, he's directing my steps, then surely it's a great year, because I'm at the point that God wants me to be at, not necessarily just where I want myself to be at. So I'm excited. You know, I don't know. I'm not feeling anxious. Perhaps it's because I'm still on recess. Like, there isn't much going on right now. School only opens end of February. So I'm really just relaxed. There isn't any anxiousness. But yeah, I definitely believe that it's going to be a great year. Regardless of what goes on. So I'm just going to ask you, now that you've told me how you're feeling. I see you're all feeling generally excited. So I believe you actually have New Year's resolutions, or December, whenever you set them, you know. I, for one, I would always set, I never have New Year's resolutions per se. I always think about the type of things I want to see in myself very abruptly. Like I will wake up some day in May and decide new year, new me, because I'm really open to rebranding. You know, I feel like sometimes we put off things that we desire, saying I'm waiting for the new year. So if, for example, it's February and you haven't started going to the gym, or you haven't started eating healthy, then you're thinking, no, I'm going to wait for 2023. There's no need to wait for 2023. You can start with your goals at that very point in time. So even if you don't have, I'm not attacking you. Get started, you know, get started on all those goals. I mean, it's a new year, but it's the 11th now. So our resolutions, yeah, it's still a new year, but it's not as fresh anymore. So maybe someone won't call them New Year's resolutions, but if you have something that you want to achieve, you can decide it now and still call it a New Year's resolution. It is completely okay, as long as you're accomplishing the goals that you set for yourself. But Happiness said I'm attacking her, so we definitely know one resolution. But let's hear from the horse's mouth. Let us not assume. Happiness, what are your resolutions for the year?
Before I go in, I just want to say to our listeners and viewers, we appreciate you so, so much. Every single one of you. To the 6 viewers that are watching us on Facebook right now, please just share this live airing and go in the comment sections. Tell us about your reflections and resolutions for this year. So let me tell you why Nyeleti was attacking me. So a few minutes before we went live, I tried fitting my Bay Waves golf shirt, and it didn't fit. Like, it used to fit so nice about 2 weeks ago, guys. I don't know what happened between 2 weeks, like the 2 weeks, but yeah, life happened, and it happened so bad. So one of my resolutions is to go to the gym, and I'm gonna do that. And the reason why I'm looking forward to this year is because the whole of 2021, I have been setting my year, preparing this whole year. So regarding my financials, I know the goals that I'm setting this year, they are very much realistic because I started preparing last year. And I want to do more of your self-care routines, your manifestations and all that. I want to connect more to myself than anybody else. I'm also planning to grow my spiritual being, because I feel like that department are also neglected in a way. So this year I just want to full blast go into it. The other one that I'm looking forward to is sticking to everything that I have planned. That includes my diet, my mental health routine. Yes, I want to prioritize my mental health. And yeah, being more active on this platform. I'm just looking forward to working with you guys. And I feel like if we do this together, we are gonna win. So we want to know more from you, your views about Africa as a whole, how we can change it. And yeah, if we work together, I think, I believe we are gonna conquer.
Thank you so much, Happiness. You know what? I think I know what happened to your shirt. It probably just got shrunk in the washing machine. You know, it got shrunk. That's it, you know?
I owe you chocolates.
No, I'm not gonna fall for the trap. Chocolates don't make.
Yeah.
So?
Man, New Year's resolutions. I've never been one to do the New Year, New Me. I've committed to a few things. Some of them I don't want to say on air because wow. Imagine my mother hearing me say some of these things.
He wants to marry.
Right? So New Year resolutions for me. For one, I think that I just want to do the best I can. I can see that the economy is growing. I can see that the industry is changing. I can see that the fourth revolution is upon us, and I just want to do my best in that area. I just want to, that's what I'm focused on. That's what I am looking forward to. I am also thinking, I go to the gym, so I think I've started implementing some of my New Year's resolutions. Happiness might want to jump in, and start right away instead of saying it, just jump in and do it, Yeah, so I have started going to the gym to improve my mental health, and I am maintaining healthy relationships, and so yeah, basically my New Year's resolutions I have already started implementing as best as I can, and I am just waiting to see if I can meet all those small goals that I have set for myself. I want to grow my spirituality, right? But in a different view. Let me give you an example. When most people speak about or talk about sin, they usually think of it as adultery, think of it as lying and whatnot. But that's not how I view it, or how I think I have come to understand it right now. I have come to understand it as missing the mark. As if you look at the word sin and you check where it originates from and what it actually means, it's missing the mark, or better yet, missing the target. So for me, I'm just trying not to sin. So I am trying to hit all those targets that I have set for myself.
So it's like you were listening to something I was listening to just a few minutes ago. Sin is definitely missing the mark. And for 2022, for me, I really just want to make sure I'm meeting the mark God has set for me. I need to find myself at a position where God desires me to be. Because I think one thing that really happens a lot in January is we set all these targets and we forget to factor in what God expects from us. I can sit here and say, this year I want this year I want this year I want this, but I didn't sit and consult with God. Is this where you want me to be? Is this the direction you're steering me at? So I really appreciate that you mentioned that. It's something that completely slipped my mind. But I saw Happiness has something to say. Happiness?
Yes, I do have something to say. When Cecil was talking about sin and all that, I think we should put it in the pipelines to have a pastor that is prepared to answer all questions, like have a raw conversation about the Bible, like have a biblical talk, have somebody that is ready to answer anything that the youth have to ask about the Bible. So I think we should put that in the pipeline. We should have a pastor or anybody who has studied, is it, what's that? Yes, in the show, and they get to explain the whole thing to us.
Yes, and adding on to what you're saying, I also think that the pastor should be someone who is, how can I put it, conventional, or someone who is not afraid to be in the gray areas, because most pastors are too religious for our minds right now. I don't know if I am pushing it a bit further, but I would very much like to have a conversation with a pastor who is open-minded, who is willing to go into what that Bible or that part of the Bible actually means outside of its literal meaning or its wording, because we miss it when we just look at the wording and not what it's meant to attend to, or what it actually means. There's a literal meaning to it, and there's what it thrives or tries to say in a particular way. So I would like to have a conversation with a pastor who is willing to have such conversations or be in the gray area. So yeah.
But the danger of the gray area, I feel like we want them to say what we want to hear. So in as much as you want an open-minded pastor, you also need to be open-minded, because you cannot just expect, or which topic, say a topic about sin, or I understand what you're saying, but you're refusing to hear what they're saying.
That's true. I think that's very true. That's why we're having an open discussion about it in let me say, in a manner in which we cannot be offended out of what we say. As much as it's our personal views or views which have authority or reference or whatever, they have to be open to the fact that someone said this and someone else said that. Someone said that because they've been studying in the very field that they are studying in. Because I don't think that interpretation lies with just what you yourself read and understood, and then now you think that is it and it's enough. It can't be that. That particular script has been written, has been interpreted over years. And then another thing is the words that have been selected there or have been chosen, and in the manner in which they have been placed there is also important and needs to be looked at. So we can't just look at it from a perspective that just because I'm not supposed to name names, but just because your big TV pastor says it's this way doesn't necessarily mean it's that way. So yeah, a pastor who is willing to go into authority of the Bible or references and that would be very interesting to hear or engage in. Yeah.
Okay, definitely. Like we said, we are waiting to hear what you guys want to hear from this conversation. So Cecil just expressed to us, we give the people what they want. And he just expressed to us what he'd really love to hear us talking about going forward in this show. And if this is something you want to hear about, please let us know. We're definitely going to put in the pipeline, Cecil. We are definitely going to look around, see who will be catered to speak to our African youth. But I think one thing I always remember, my father always used to tell me, is that when you read your Bible, you need to ask the Holy Spirit to help you understand the word. So me reading the Bible on my own will never make any practical sense to me. You know, the Holy Spirit is the one who helps you. He's an interpreter, he helps you. So he helps you to put life. The word of God is living, but he helps you to put it into practice into your life, to see it on a practical aspect and how it's supposed to apply to you. I think, like, I know a lot of people always say they could read a scripture and come across a different meaning of the same scripture while reading it multiple times in a week. You know, the Holy Spirit is the one who reveals what scripture is supposed to mean to you at that point in time. And we're supposed to invite him when we read our Bibles, when we engage in prayer, to invite him to be our helper, to help us be attentive to what the Lord is saying. But this is definitely something we're going to put in the pipelines. We are going to note it down. And hopefully we'll be having this conversation sometime soon. But from my point, you know, one thing I really love to hear from us, you know, especially now that it's January, you know, I know a lot of bursary applications open up sometime in March, and a lot of bursary applications now require so much more than just proving financial need. You know, they'd love to see more you talking about yourself. You know, what kind of things, what kind of value are you adding? You know, and as Bold African Youth, we would definitely be sinning. We'd be missing the mark if we were just normal people without adding any impact into our communities. So a conversation I'd really love us to have is a conversation on building our brand, you know, going forward. A lot of youth are just like the other, you know, there should be something about you that's different from your neighbor, because essentially not all of us are the same. And in order to do that, in order for you to be able to tap into what God has stored inside you, to be able to tap into what is different about you from the rest, you need to know yourself. And in order for other people to see that value, you need to build your brand. So I could very well know myself and know what is expected of me. I could know what makes me different from Cecil. But if I'm unable to express that, then there's no way that other people are going to see value in me. I think the reason that we have such big giants, you know, we have people that are occupying spaces, whether big motivational speaker, big academics, is because they were able to show us the value that they have within themselves and show us what value they're adding to the communities. So I think as the youth, we are really just complacent in just being people. You know, I say I'm a student, but they're like 800 of us doing the same degree, and I'm exactly like every single one of them. That can't be how you are. You are not bold if you are exactly like the other. A bold person is supposed to stand out. And I really think these are conversations you need to have, you know, building your brand, being able to do extra to make yourself stand out.
So, okay. Happiness,
you can go on, Cecil. Let me be a gentle lady this time.
Yeah. Okay, gentle lady. So yeah, I like your idea of building your own brand and setting yourself apart from the rest, right? But I don't think that most high school students, let's start with high school students and then we'll go up, right? I don't think that most high school students realize what they need to do in order for them to get those bursaries outside of academical achievement. Academical achievement is, one of the how can I put it? It's the main thing that everyone looks at, or any other employer or sponsor looks at. But outside of that, what extracurricular work do you do? What extracurricular activities do you do? These are things that our youth do not realize. These are things that you only find in private schools, which is disheartening because why? Why are people in private school, public schools not doing anything more? I mean, I understand for one that it might be due to a lack of resources or whatever, but it does not mean that you can't just get together and then start a baseball team, or get together and start a football team, or a chess club, or a book club, or a debate club, or I can go on and on and on with the activities that are out there. These are things that our high school students need to learn. They need to understand that having these things, being in leadership positions in high school, taking part, participating in whatever activity that you might find in school is very important for them while applying. Because this also says to the sponsor, in their case, it's sponsor, not employer. This also says to their sponsor that this person is actually reliable. This person knows what they're doing and they can handle pressure because they have been in a position whereby they had to make a decision on the spot, or they had to think on the spot and complete certain tasks in a particular time, that people, they are able to work in a team and they have good communication skills. Just saying that I am, let's say, treasurer, I am secretary, I am chairperson, I am all those hostel and welfare, I am whatever positions that are there. Saying that says something about you. It says that, okay, you are willing to go the extra mile and still maintain your academical achievements, or still maintain going to school, still maintain being a good student, learner, and all that. So I think those are the things that we need to start teaching our young youth, our upcoming young adults, that they should start doing such things. They should start participating. Otherwise, nothing at all sets them apart from the rest of the crowd.
Definitely, Cecil. And I think, like you said, we find a lot of these things in the private schools. And I think it's really about children in public schools also using these platforms to empower themselves. I remember at the beginning of last year, we had to do a group initiative and we had to come up with a business idea and actually build a prototype and launch it. And I remember within the group of people that I could work with, I didn't necessarily know enough people. And I met someone in a session similar to this. And we worked together, and honestly, it was an amazing year. A year where I got to know this person so much better and we got to build something really solid. So I'd really just love to urge young people, you don't need to be in fancy spaces to network and meet people who you could very well build something amazing with. So yes, definitely something I think we should look into.
Happiness?
Well, I just wanted to come in while you're still talking, Cecil. There's nothing that puts me off like optimization or self-pity. In as much as we want to blame it to the schools or there are no lack of resources, what are you doing in your personal capacity? I mean, they're in public schools, but my God, the iPhone, they have good phones. They have access to all these social media platforms. They have access to Twitter. What are they doing on Twitter? They're just bashing each other. There are things that you could use to build your brand on the same platforms that they do have. So let's just say tabeng ya debate. There's Twitter spaces where you can join and have actual intellect conversations with other people. There are things that you can do on these free platforms to build your brand. So I think we should stop trying to bring the government in or public school and just think about what we can do in our personal spaces to build our own brand.
No, that's very true. Another thing, while you were still speaking, you spoke about how they have iPhones and how they are all over social media. That's one of the things that they can use to showcase their talents, because talent goes a long way as well. I see most of them are into Amapiano and they dance really, really well. You look at them and you're hooked onto your Instagram, looking at these kids dance, and they're doing nothing about it. It's just them dancing and looking at, views and likes, and that's it. Like literally, that's it. Why can't they come up with a competition and dance? Like just dance, man. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if they lack resources to that point, then they should reach out to all these universities, because I'm sure student leaders are willing. Student leaders like myself, we are willing to go the extra mile and get involved with high school learners and see what programs we can implement and integrate within their schools, and have them grow in a good manner, have them out of the streets, out of the drugs, have them out of teenage pregnancy, have them out of whatever distractions that they may have. If you're a good dancer, if you're a good debater, man, reach out. I can make a pledge right now that the UNISA Law Student Association in Polokwane region will be most definitely willing to take on any school or any students who would like to be involved in debates. If they want to do that, then they can definitely come along and we will help them, we will train them, we will definitely go the long way with them.
So they must about social media. Sorry, I'm so sorry about that. I'm gonna be excused in probably a minute. Speaking of social media, guys, have you been on TikTok? People are getting gigs, like actual big gigs, just because they're there dancing on the phone or singing. So please, let's just use these resources. And let me just advise the audience that I'm just gonna drop, but I'm gonna come back in 10 minutes. It's just an air break for me.
All right, Happiness. Thank you so much. Definitely. I think the youth really need to learn to empower themselves with what they have. It's not everyone who's going to have access to the same amount of resources, and that's honestly the reality of life. But it is really important that we're able to make the best use of what we do have. So if you've got a smartphone, perhaps you don't have Wi-Fi at home, but for a fact there is Wi-Fi in town, or for a fact you have Wi-Fi, wherever it is that you would go and you'd have Wi-Fi, be able to use those resources to the best of your advantage. You need to take the first step in order to build anything great. If, for example, I'm going to talk about university applications. If you were to sit and say, I'm not going to apply for university because I don't have a laptop to apply, do you figure you're going to at any point get into a university? Do you think you'll get a job as a professional at any point? All these things require you to take a starting step. And like Cecil said, there are so many organizations that are definitely willing to help out. It's really important that, with the little data, I know I always have this conversation with my mom. You'd say someone who says they have limited access to internet, for example, say they have 250 megabytes. I suppose that's what we would consider as small amounts of data nowadays. You have 250 megabytes, but you decide to spend it watching comedy TikTok videos, for example. Did you make the best use of their data? For a fact you have limited access. So why are you wasting it? If I know that I have 100 Rand left for the month, I'm not going to go buy KFC for one night. No, you're going to stretch what you have. So why do you, when you have limited access to resources, do you decide to misuse it and suppose that there'll be some sort of miracle? It's really important for people to learn to take the first step. Use your limited access to resources to your best advantage. If you know that you have 10 Rands, and you need to apply for university, why not take that 10 rands and go to an internet cafe? Make sure you have all your documents. You'll be in and out really quick. I remember when applying to university, I applied to university with my mom. And after applying to like 2 universities, everything started being really fast. You have all your documents. You literally just log on, you type your name, you type your surname, you know your ID number by head at that point. Like everything is really fast. You don't need to spend 3 hours at the internet cafe. You can easily do it within 30 minutes if you've prepared yourself within the time. So, it's little things like this. People talk about not being able to apply for things. People talk, little things, but it's really important that we maximize what we have.
Yeah, very true. Hey? And if there's also, those students who just, like you said, limited resources like 250 megabytes, which is quite small and quite understandable that they might not be able to go through the entire process, right? There used to be, there are companies that can help, or like I'm coming back to it, right? Student leaders within the universities, they can really help out with applications, with registrations, with all those things. So it's not a matter of just limited resources. It's, like you said, what you do with it. Do you go out and search for someone who will be able to help? For one, I would say right now, students, whoever who's watching this and they just have limited resources, but I doubt they will be watching this if they have limited resources. However, those who are watching and know of those who have limited resources can always reach out to us, because we are here to help them out. Again, there's a company called McD Solutions. They can always contact, I'm going to say his name on air, Khotatso Mapetu. They can always contact him, and then he will help them through McD Solutions, which helps students with university applications, allocation of finding rest, and bursary recommendations, and sometimes applications. So they can go do that. And if there are more students who are in need, there's also a foundation like the Rest the Dream Foundation, which helps learners with their matric, with their transition from high school to university. It also helps out those who are in need with matric dances and things like that. They dress them up, they do all the glamour thing. Yeah. So there are literally things or organizations out there which are willing to help, and even sometimes at a very low price, or for nothing, or for free. So yeah, use your data wisely. Whenever you have data, as small as the data may be, try your best to utilize it in the best manner. I mean, if it means you planning what you're going to do with that small data that you have, then take the time to plan and do that. There's no harm in doing that. If you want to go on Facebook, there's free mode. Enjoy that and use your data as best as you can to help you move forward in life.
Definitely, Cecil. But you reminded me of something very important that we definitely need to discuss. As you guys know, matric results are coming out within the next few days, and I think it's very important for us to help our fellow brothers and sisters who are going to universities. We need to have a conversation where, like, there are so many things that you see out here. I've been a student for several years. Well, not several. I mean, it's been a while, but I mean. You see a lot of people, for example, selling their secondhand textbooks right now. And the biggest mistake a lot of first-year students do is, before you are even registered, before you even know what textbooks are required, they hop on there and they buy those secondhand textbooks simply because a person who claims to be a student, you haven't seen their proof of registration, they are telling you they are a student. You just trust that they have the correct books. But they go and they buy these books. And when you walk into the lecture hall, or you walk into your online lecture, because COVID, the lecturer tells you of a different textbook, and you've already bought textbooks. I feel like a lot of first-year students fall privy to a lot of scams, be it false schools, what do we call the fly-by-night schools? Being privy to those kind of schools, being privy to people selling you things that you definitely don't need. There are just so many things first-year students are gullible to. And I really think we need to have, even if it's not a whole show, even if it's just a portion of it, where we talk to our first-year going students and help them prepare. I know at University of Pretoria, I mean at UP, they always talk about the AIM building, and that building, or the ClickUp building, that building does not exist. But if you walk to a senior, they'll tell you, no, your lecture is in the Clicker building. And they'll advise you to go somewhere across campus that does not exist. Guys, literally, there are so many first-year students looking for the Clicker building every single year. And you're like, guys, there is no Clicker building. It doesn't exist. And it's those little things that are just so frustrating to a first-year student. Imagine missing your class because you're running halfway through campus and it takes a really long time to get to the other half of campus looking for a building that simply does not exist. So just little things like this, you know. I know on Twitter, there are always these ask, for example, if it's Wits, so ask a Witsy, ask a taxi, you know, things like that, and you'll be able to get, you know, some information, you'll be able to ask. So I really just, we should definitely have something of the sort right here. But also I just really love to encourage all our first year students to go hop onto social media if you can, you know, search these little things. People will definitely tell you, you'll perhaps even be able to meet people that live in the same accommodation as you, and will be able to help you figure out small things like finding the dining hall, finding the laundry. I know a girl who didn't wash her laundry for 3 weeks because she did not know where the laundry room was. And I mean, you're running out of clothes, guys. You know, definitely a conversation we need to have.
Oh, man. 3 weeks.
Can I just go in? You know,
Yes,
Nyaleti, regarding that, the little things that you're talking about, I see you're more focused on in university. Let's talk about the city, guys. You know, moving from the village to the city. Oh, God. I think we also did a show about that whole transitioning from a trade to university. Because I know how I survived being conned. My mom used to tell me stories about being conned in the city. Now, the minute you said 2 seconds, just know something is about to happen. So this one time, I used to stay in Pretoria, CBD. So Nikiloko, what's that? Church Street. Yeah, there by Church Square, yeah.
Church Square.
I was there, it was like Black Friday, very, very busy, but we could still walk, and I was holding hands with my best friend. So we were walking. Next thing, the people passing in between us, it was just a havoc for a good 5 seconds. And then I remembered my mom's words. Then I checked my pockets. And then I screamed. I'm like, hey, where's my phone? And this guy came out of nowhere. He's like, how? So if I didn't know about that, I could have went to rest, thinking that I still had my phone, get there and cry. Like I was shaking when that guy gave me my phone. So we also need to talk about that. Transitioning from the village to the city, what to do and what not to do in the city.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of places where people caution you about. So for example, in Hatfield, I know of a certain street, don't go there. You know, just ideally just avoid it. If you must, for whatever reason, find yourself on that street, go with a friend. So, you know, when you allow yourself to, just before you go to a new place, you know, search a few things on the internet, go on Twitter. I know for a fact, my mom knows, I always look for news on Twitter. So if my mom says, oh, we heard that Cyril was speaking, I will be number one, I will check my Twitter because I know I'll find things really quickly. So just being able to check things like that, be able to know which places are safe places to go, which places should you ideally avoid. But generally, when going to a new school, when going to a new city, it is advisable, find a friend and you know, go to places with that friend. I know I didn't go to shops alone for about a month when I was in Hatfield. And I mean, Hatfield is very small. It's literally just the student community. You walk on the street and you don't find a single person who's not working at the university or studying at the university. If you do, it's like, whoa, what are you doing here? You know, it's really just, it's suspicious. Like you find an old man and you're like, how? Are you a grandparent of a student? Why are you here? because but even though it was a really small community, I never went to places alone, because they advised us, you're still getting to know the place. It's really important while you're still getting to know the place, don't go venturing out on your own. Why are you doing that? You're putting yourself in danger. So it's really important. Do your research. Try not to venture out alone. Keep yourself safe. Our phones now have an option of sending locations. If you know you're going to be traveling somewhere you don't know, send a live location to someone you trust to actually look at it. Because I remember every time I take an Uber, I'd send my ride location to a number of people. But with time, you realize some people don't check it. You like, there's no point in sending it to someone who's not going to check. So know that you have a trusted person who, if you're going to send your Uber location, your ride details to, will actually check where are you at that point in time. Have you reached your destination? Things like this are really important, guys. Human trafficking and scams are rife out here. We need to be safe. But Happiness has a hand. I believe it's from the comments. I am so glad we are hearing from you guys now.
Yes, it's definitely from the comment section. Before I get on the comments, I just want to say to our viewers, our audience, please, please, please. I see there are 12 people watching on Facebook. If 12 of you could share this live airing, it will make so much difference to our whole live stream. So please make sure that you like, you engage, and you share. Right now we are talking about our resolutions for the year. Well, there are comments from the comment section. I don't know if I should start from the top, but I want to say if I skip your comment, I am really sorry, but I have acknowledged everything. There's Rulani Baloyin saying, true happiness, it is not lack.
Please start from the bottom. Please start from the bottom.
From the bottom going up.
Yes.
Okay. One of the things I had to learn when I got to varsity was transport network.
Yeah,
It reminds me of a story. I think everybody has a story about transport network. And there's Kenneth who is saying all students who will be enrolling into institutions of higher learning, they must know when shopping, the comments are moving. They must know that when doing shopping, don't trust anyone who'll say they'll give them discount, be it in clothing or grocery store. If it is not advertised by the store, then it's a scam. Don't listen to those guys who says you can buy groceries or sneakers worth 1,000 with only 400 rands. Run, don't entertain such. And I must say, if you see that young man, Lituku Kenneth in the comment section, that guy has a superpowers to identify fly-by-nights from a distance. So he knows all the fly-by-nights in Pretoria. So don't be scared. If you're not sure about your school, just text him, DM him, and he'll tell you if your school is a fly-by-night or not. There's also Rulani who said, yes, Nyeleti, that'll be great to have a session to help transition between high school and tertiary. It is very, very important because that's where our audience is at. It's high school and varsity. So we need to have a whole session about that. Lituku came in and said, organizations like Lerumo Student Association and MACD Solutions are there to help these learners to apply into institutions of higher learning. I've been part of the movement, and some people that we helped apply into institutions of higher learning have graduated as we speak, which is a good movement. So the good part about this whole thing is that I'm the founder of Lerumo Student Association. So if you're having any difficulties applying or registering, just come in our messenger there, DM, or just leave a message in the comment section and I'll come to you. I'll text you or whatever that you leave there, I'll just contact you. So yes. That's all. Oh, there's also a comment about me. I like it whenever I see my name there in the comment section. So Lani was saying, true happiness, it is not lack of resources, but it is about prioritization. Public schools, that is where you get big brands. I agree, Rulani. Back to you, Madam Host. That's everything from the comment section.
Thank you. Oh, it's so difficult to pick and choose where to start. But I'll start from the one that I remember, which is what you just said right now. It's very true. And in public schools, you really find a lot of big bursaries coming to approach their students. You know, you have trust in the quality of the education you are going to find there. You won't have any surprises with what you find in public schools. I know for a fact, I will let you guys know in a couple of months, Ellen Gray Orbis Foundation is going to open up their bursary applications for grade 12 students. Guys, it is an amazing opportunity. They not only fund your tuition, they fund your accommodation, they buy you books, they give you a stipend, they give you meals, and you're also enrolled into their entrepreneurship course for the duration of your degree. So for 4 years, you learn about entrepreneurship, you learn about starting a business, you learn about networking, you have access to a number of sessions with amazing people. So as soon as the applications open, I promise I'll come back here and I'll let you know. We do have drives where we talk about the application process, when we try and make the application process a little simpler. I know that foundation is one of those applications that seem daunting. So my application, the application paper is 12 pages long, and you write essays about yourself, like for real. I remember when I sat there for the first time and I looked at that application, I felt a little overwhelmed. So this is why people like us exist. You know, if you have your foot in the door, you definitely help the people who are waiting to get into the door. So things like this is why we need to have that session about building your brand. You come across things that require you to talk about yourself. And if you don't know yourself, it's going to be very difficult to write 12 pages of essays about yourself. So yeah, and it's beautiful to see Bold African Youth Like Happiness helping students to apply.
Yes. I must add, the MACD solution one, I'm also, you know, part leader there. So it's not just happiness, but I do look forward to both of us helping students move forward and you know, prosper in their applications to higher learning and education. That's how it's said, right? I said it right. Yes, I did. Definitely did.
Guys, you have access to amazing people who are definitely willing to help you at all different corners. So please do reach out to us. You know, we are definitely willing to help. We are the Bold African Youth. We want to help each and every one of us be bold. So if you're a parent here listening in, please inform your children about, you know, the different things that we're talking about. Encourage them to attend, to listen to our sessions. Encourage them to reach out to us. We definitely want to help. Let me just take a look. Yes, you spoke about getting discounts. Guys, please don't fall privy to these scams. Like, I know sometimes when you're in the situation, the scams don't look like scams. So the easiest way to make sure you're not falling subject to a scam, go and explain whatever offer or discount this person has given you to other people. People you believe are sensible, please. So go explain it to people who you believe are sensible and listen to them, what they're going to say. I had a friend who recently got scammed. And it was really sad. Like, it was really sad that, and it really affected our plans. You know, we had plans, and she got scammed, and all these plans had to fall away because the money isn't there anymore. I know you're listening. I'm going to tell you a story anonymously. But so what happened was, and I know people are probably going to fall subject to this. I'm going to speak about it now because next time we speak, I think results will be out, or at least for the IEB students, their results will be out. And we don't want you to fall subject to the scam on Monday before we come back and talk to you about it on Tuesday. So what happened was, she had applied to go live at a certain private accommodation, which was a student accommodation, but it was private, so it wasn't owned by the university. And she got accepted and everything was fine. She paid a deposit. But after a couple of months, they called her, or at least someone called her, and informed her that she hasn't paid a deposit, right? And obviously, like, you want to get a place to live. I'm pretty sure it's very stressful to go somewhere and not have a place to live. So immediately panic arose, and they told her, no, don't worry. You can pay bit by whatever you have, because she said she doesn't have the money in its entirety at that particular time. So she said she had 300 Rand, right? And mind you, this is a deposit for a flat. I'm pretty sure you guys know how much deposits for flats are. They are definitely not 300 rands. But she said she has 300 rands, and he said, no, it's fine. You can send me what you have. As you make a plan, it will keep gathering up until you pay the whole thing. But here's the thing. He asked her to e-wallet. I don't know if it was e-wallet or cash send the money, because their banking systems aren't working. Guys, do not pay any accommodations by cash send, by e-wallet, because that money is not traceable, right? You send them a PIN to a number, which they may discard, and then you can't find your money anymore. They take it out and it's gone. You know, it's so much easier to, you know, though it's still difficult, but if you send it into a banking account, at least they'll be able to see, you know, you sent it to an account registered in this person's name. You may not be able to get it back, depending, but at least you have some sort of safeguard. So guys, please don't pay your university. No, if a university, if a college, if anything tells you to pay something by cash send, please be wary. Those things aren't good. Needless to say, she got scammed. I don't know if it was 2,000 rand or 3,000 rand, sending it in bits and pieces like 300 rand and 200 rand as it goes. So it's really important, guys, please, when someone offers you something, try to explain it to another person, because you see, she explained it to me the next day. And as she was explaining, I could, like, the minute she said cash send, I was like, this is a scam. But I listened to the whole of the story, and only when it got to the end did she tell me, no, it was a scam and they scammed me, right? So sometimes when you explain it to another person, that person will be able to see what you don't see. Because at that point in time, you're either really desperate looking for a school, or you're desperate looking for accommodation, or whatever it is you're desperate for. But when you explain it to someone in a different position, perhaps they'll be able to see other things. But also, guys, please think through your decisions. Don't jump into making any rash decisions, especially going to schools. Think it through. It's really important to think your decisions through right now.
Another thing is, if I may add, another thing is, no matter how desperate you may be, my advice would, even though the universities might not take a liking to what I'm about to say, but my advice is, even if you are stranded or you're desperate for accommodation and you are there in Gauteng, you are there wherever you are, right? I would say be desperate within the campus. If you're stranded, be stranded within the campus. Refuse to leave the campus because you do not have accommodation. There's nowhere else for you to go. Don't go outside and then give out your money and then the people disappear and now you're out in the streets and you have nowhere else to go to. You can't even go back to campus because maybe you forgot how you got to where you are now, or you used a couple of taxis to wherever you are right now. So be stranded within the campus. I would advise you to even take it a step further. If student leaders are not as active there, then go to the lectures. Go to, whoever works there. Just make sure that you are still within the campus. By the time you do the campus, your things are sorted. Don't be that desperate that you find yourself in a situation that is bad, that leads to very bad things happening to you. So yeah, that's my bit of advice in terms of that. Or another thing is institutions that, you get SMSs and institutions say we've changed our banking details, not. Hey, go to the exact website of the institution and check for the banking details. If they have changed there, then you know that it's right. But if they haven't changed there, no, don't be sending people money.
Regarding that one, Cecil, these thugs are getting smarter by the second. Thing is, they buy this information. They can get somebody within the university that works in the finance department, and then buy information from them. Then now they send you messages claiming to be the school, but they're not actually the school. So normally it's a message that looks like it's from the school, because normally we check that number and we're like, oh, okay, no, this is legit. It's not 081, it's 87 or those many numbers. Hey guys, they're using those numbers. They're getting smart. And there's also something that we need to be careful about. There's just this new, I don't know if it's new, but this whole thing that they hypnotize you in the streets. It's real. It's not even a joke. They'll just, I don't know what they even use, but I'm sure it's witchcraft because they hypnotize you. They make you believe whatever they're saying. You go to your room, collect everything that is yours and give it to them without them fighting you. So please, even if you're in the streets, make sure that you're with somebody because I've never heard of a case where they hypnotized two people at the same time.
Other than being with someone, I must add, other than being with someone, you know the principle or the lesson that we are taught as kids, don't talk to strangers. Even when you get to university, stop talking to strangers, especially outside.
Then how do we make friends? How can we make friends with these strangers?
Within the campus. Don't make friends outside the campus. What are you doing?
Okay, how do you determine? How do you identify somebody as a stranger?
Within campus or outside campus? That's the bigger question.
Okay, within campus. Let's start from within campus because that's where the students are at.
Okay, within campus, I would say for one, the person would have a student card, and if they don't have a student card, clear, like regional.
So imagine if I want to be friends with you, I'm like, hi. Then you're like, where's your student card?
No, I mean, there's honestly nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with asking, like, dude, I need verification that you're actually a student here. I don't want to be in a situation whereby I find myself, hypnotized, like, hypnotism. So I would say if you want to, yes, it is very hard to make friends in university, but start in class. That's the best way. The lecture halls, that's the best place to start. Start with the person that you find sitting next to you. A simple hi, how are you doing? How's your morning? Do you need a pen? Do you need, if they are lacking whatever, and do you need help if you see that they need help or whatever? That's where you start making friends. The cafeteria, that's where you start making friends. Not outside of campus, like really, and then you want to make friends. Another thing is not to be judgmental or not to say that people should be judgmental, but dress code does matter and how people present themselves does matter. So you can't be making friends with people who Mara, you're busy wanting to make friends with them outside of campus. No, man. Even within campus. I mean, if you want to help, then sure, help. But even within campus, you don't want to be making friends with people who don't take care of themselves or can't take care of themselves. No, man.
But Cecil, it's called vintage and it's a fashion sense.
Fashion sense? No. Man. Take care of yourself. If it's vintage, at least be clean in that vintage that you are going for. But don't be vintaging and dirty and smelling and no, man. You must respect yourself and make sure you teach the next person how to respect you. You can't be associated with people who do not, I can take it to an extent of saying do not love themselves. So don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself.
Do that.
You see, building on what Cecil is saying, it's really important actually what he's saying, how people present themselves. You guys really need to consider that the friends that you make in university and the acquaintances may very well be your connections in the future. I met someone in the commerce building and he's studying economics, and I met someone in engineering and they're studying this, and you're building your network. Now, if you're going to be building a network with scruffy looking people, who generally don't seem to have a sense of where they're going. If you're meeting, I know we have the plaza on campus, and on the plaza there are people, well, I believe we're youth people here, we know the realities of what it is. University is not always people holding their books and big school bags and running to class. You find people on campus who are sitting smoking, who are sitting and drinking, and that's really just what they do on a daily basis. If that's where you're going to go and make friends, I need you guys to consider, what are your connections going to be? Are your connections going to be those people who keep calling you, I'm looking for a job, Nyana, and you hook them up and then they go mess up at this job and now you're ruining your reputation because you keep referring people who are untrustworthy. So when you make friends, consider that these are your connections. You are building a network. right? So sitting here, I know I'm definitely building a network with Happiness. I'm building a network with Sissel. You know, wherever they're going to go in life, we are definitely a network of people that we have built. So when you go to university, guys, consider things like this. You know, socialize. Even if they don't become your friends, know a couple of people.
Acquaintances.
You know? Yes, acquaintances. They are, you know, normally you have group chats for certain modules. Get in there. When someone asks a question, respond. They will start speaking to you. You begin, you know, meeting a couple of people. Right now, I know Sissel is doing his final year, LLB. And, you know, you never know. Maybe someday I'll meet Sissel in court and I'll need a favor, right? I'll need to cut in line because I have an urgent matter and his matter is not urgent. Then I'm going to be like, please let me go see the master. You never know, right? You never know what kind of things are going to happen. So when you go to university, consider these, you know, consider things like this. It's definitely important. Don't go to university to chill and have a good time. Sure, if you want to have a good time, make sure but that you're passing and you're passing well, right? Because I need you guys to consider that passing shouldn't be the goal. Doing well and doing as great as you can should be the goal. So I know for a fact, my goals aren't like someone else's goals. So if I set my goal to just passing, then, you know, I'm sinning, like we said. I'm missing my mark. So it's super important, guys. When you go to university, be focused, build those networks, come out of there. Not just, you know how people say education is useless because all you come out with is a paper, and I really don't believe that. When you go to institutions of higher learning, there's so much more that happens for you and in you than just coming out with a piece of paper. You know, you should come out a refurbished person. If for real, all you do, if I went and I studied law and I go into my degree and I spend 4 years, and guys, university is expensive, 4 years. And all I know is how to recite the Companies Act and how to recite. Then I know you wasted money. You went there and you did absolutely nothing. Because when you come out of university, you must have networks. You must have knowledge, and not only knowledge on what you studied. Your mind should be refurbished in such a way that you are able to tap into different conversations. So if right now I'm a law student, if all I know is law, and people come here and talk economics, and I'm so blank in a way that I can't even add a single sentence of knowledge into it, then you haven't developed your critical thinking. You went in there and you got your paper and you walked out. So when you go to universities, guys, please set goals. Be realistic. Yes, be realistic, but also set goals. Come out a refurbished person. Come out a developed person. Don't just go for good vibes. You will cry. I'm telling you, the supplementaries are happening next week. People are crying. Why? Because they went for a good time. Don't go for a good time, guys. My piece of advice.
You know, yeah. I just want to remind the people in the comment section, I'm out there because the other gadget that I'm using to monitor the comments is off. But please keep on engaging, and Kenneth will be attending to you. So I want us to move from this issue because we are still going to host a whole session about it and go to something that is cliched, but I feel like it needs to be addressed because it's still going on. Bullying. We are still having kids commit suicide because they're bullied at schools. And we see posters about bullying, we hear teachers talking about bullying, but it's still continuing. So I want to know from you guys, what can we do differently to stop this bullying?
What can we do differently to stop bullying? Man.
Yeah.
I mean, is the question referred to us as the people, as the bystanders of the bullies, or as someone who is being bullied?
You can take both, either way.
Okay, so I'll start with someone who is being bullied. I have experience in that. Yes, I was bullied too in high school, and you know, as much as it might seem like you're being weak by reporting it and whatever, you'd find that that's actually where your power lies. by actually reporting it and making sure that those people are out of your space for as long as you'd want them out of your space. That's the first step you need to take or should take. Another thing, I wouldn't recommend anyone, going head on with their bully. I mean, those people have trauma. They have trauma. They will do crazy things to you. So the best thing I would say is report it, no matter how weak you may seem, especially for the boy child who always views it as, I would seem as weak. I would seem as if I am weak. But report it, and that's where you get your power. If it persists, then you can take it outside of the school or outside of whatever environment that you bullied in, and it can be a legal case as to this person is actually, making your life a living hell. So report it, and if it gets out of hand, then do something else. Take it a step further. And then for the bystanders, I would say that, guys, you need to be a genuine person. You see that this thing is actually happening, and if you can, intervene, but don't intervene in such a manner that you become a victim of being bullied. You become the victim yourself. So I would say bystanders, just intervene as much as you possibly can, and that's about all the advice I can give. And another thing is, once these things have been reported, so we have learners listening to us, right? So once you've reported this person as a bully and you have established and they have a track record of bullying, ask the person who you have reported the issue to what they are doing about the matter. Follow through, ask them, or is this person taking counseling? What is the school doing? How do we ensure that I am now safe in this space? Are you saying now that I should transfer from the school because of this particular person? Is this person going to be moving from the school because they just cannot get hold of their behavior? They cannot behave correctly like a normal child, or at least a child who is relatable. I mean, ask those questions. You are within your rights to ask. You're within your rights to know what intervention is being taken to avoid or to make sure that this does not happen again. So that's my bit of advice.
Yeah, Letty?
Sissa has definitely said a lot, but I totally agree with you. I think also, like you say, we have awareness. I feel like it's a lot like gender-based violence or things like consent. There's a lot of awareness, but people don't know. So they will, like you write GBV, they'll tell you gender-based violence, but you ask them, what is it? And then it's quiet. So I feel like, bullying is one of those things. A lot of people, bullying is wrong, but you don't know what exactly is bullying. I think a lot of people are bullies, but don't know they're bullies, and still believe bullying is wrong, but they don't know that the actions they are perpetrating to other people actually are bullying. So it's very important that we move past the surface of saying bullying is wrong and actually understand as a community, as people, what exactly is bullying. And also, I think it's really important for bullies themselves to be able to see that they're bullies, and further than that, work on the reasons why they're bullies. My sister she's really young, but a couple of months back they had a bully in their school, and every day she'd come back and she'd complain, no, this bully is doing this, this bully is doing this, and he wouldn't necessarily bother her, but he'd bother a lot of the girls in their class. I remember the last time, when I was like, when we were just like, no, this is it. They hid in the bathroom at break, right? A group of girls, they were hiding in the bathroom at break from a little boy. And I mean, she's really young. She's 5 years old. So imagine a 5-year-old being able to cause a group of children to hide in the bathroom, trying to avoid them. And only when speaking now, we were talking to the teachers and we were telling them, okay, no, she's saying that this is the problem. And they decided to speak to their parents, and then they realized that, no, this child actually has a bit of a problem, certain things weren't sitting well in this child's life. So it's really important, bullying, especially in young children, in high school children, it's very important for us not to neglect the bully. right? Because I think we tend to focus, and yes, bullying has adverse effects. We focus a lot on the victim, and that is definitely important, but we also need to get to a point where we don't bully the bully, right? I remember with that whole, I can't remember the name, but there was, but it was a video. I remember it circulated a bit. It was the school in Venda. Yes, Lufuno. I remember people started bullying her bully. Her bully had a Facebook profile, and they started saying really harsh things towards this child. And you're there thinking, you're saying bullying is wrong, but you're being a bully, right? You're telling this child that they don't deserve to live. You're telling this child really terrible things. And yes, sometimes a child is a bully just because, I don't know, I'm not a psychologist.
Cool.
I think this is definitely, people think it's cool. This is definitely something that requires someone who has an understanding on the internal workings of a mind of a bully. But a lot of these children often who bully have a lot of things that are affecting them, and they decide to express their frustrations by bullying other children. So it's very important as a community to say no to bullying, but not to a point where we start to bully the bully. We should be able to help the victim and help the bully, you know? And I think personally, I always feel like old people are bullies, right? old people just unintentionally bully you. And I think it's because they weren't sensitized to a lot of things that we currently deem as inappropriate. So, for example, right now in the modern world that we live in amongst ourselves as youth, we find it extremely unmannered to say to a person, oh my gosh, you've gained weight, or to say to a person, hey, but why aren't you getting married? Or, you know, just things like that. You need to have certain relations with people to be able to say things like that. And sometimes things like, oh my gosh, you've gained so much weight can get to a point of bullying. And we need to be able to see as a community that things like that aren't fine. And I feel like, you know, for a lot of old people, they don't see that, right? I don't know how I would explain to my grandma that saying, you've gained so much weight is wrong. You know, she, you know, like, yes, they are willing to learn sometimes, but sometimes it's just a little difficult to unlearn things at a matured age. So it's very important for us to, yes, try to teach the communities about bullying, but also focus a lot more on the youth and on children, because they are more likely to unlearn their bad habits than old people when you're telling them you can't say to a person, Joe, you've gained so much weight, you know.
I would like to add one.
I'm sorry, Cecil. I'm glad that you actually touched on this old people bullying thing, because the minute I mentioned bullying, you guys started talking about high school, primary, and all. But do you guys understand, or at this big age, I can still get bullied? Go to social media, cyberbullying, it's hectic. It's really hectic. You guys are going to start with your jobs soon. There's something called workplace bullying. I think that's the worst of them all. I'm not comparing the intensity, but imagine you're an adult trying to get your adult life together, and you get there and another adult just wants to mess it up for you, and they're not even gonna gain anything out of it. So we need to talk about workplace bullying, because most of our age mates are gonna start working or are working. Yeah, that needs to be spoken more about. And cyberbullying, I think it's also underrated. We just say, guys, stop cyberbullying, but that's just it. When I say so, if you see somebody cyberbullying somebody, you're probably gonna see the post, laugh about it, or just pass it. What do you do? Or when somebody I was cyberbullied? And I think it's something that we should have included in the mental health conversation, because I saw this other girl on TikTok. So I'm sure you guys know by now, or I'm such a big fan of TikTok, because yeah. So this girl was talking about her social media account. Or, you know, I came to the street and I called myself ugly and fat. People came, you know, they're like, no, you're not ugly. You just need to tone up a bit, man. But, you know, you're beautiful, wada. And they were saying nice things about the person, with some bit of sarcasm there and there, but they were still saying good things. They're like, no, you should stop saying you're ugly because you're beautiful in your own skin. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, wada. Then after that, she started believing, or you know what, I'm actually beautiful. Then she'd come on the same social media platform and say, you know, I'm very beautiful, wara. And they're like, you beautiful. Then they started bullying her. So you see such things. I think also confidence is bashed so much on social media. The minute you come in and you try to act confident, they're gonna bash you. So if you're trying to build yourself or protect your mental health, these streets are not safe for you. Over to you guys.
Well, I was saying, as I wanted to add on, right? I would like to also urge, you know, parents or young parents or, you know, parents in general who have kids who are still fairly young, you know, to encourage their kids to go to nursery schools at an early age so that they can learn how to negotiate with people their own age, so that they can, you know, sort of limit the number of introverts that we have, because introverts tend to be the kids who get bullied, even though they have good traits of their own. But yeah, that is just a bit on kids who are way young. And in terms of cyberbullying, I would for one say that, hey, I think you have an option other than Twitter, where you can't control the number of people who, you know, push or who tweet, retweet whatever that you say and bash you on that, on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn or whatever other platforms that may be there, right? You can literally limit that. You can unfriend people and follow people as much as you like, however you want. You can literally block people. So you're not completely powerless. You do have the power within your own hands. You have it literally in your phone, in your own hands. So utilize that and don't just stand back and be bullied, especially in a space whereby you can do something about it and you know that they can't do anything to retaliate over that. So I think take the power and, you know, use it and protect yourself in that manner. Yeah, Happiness.
Oh, I'm sorry, you can continue with what you're saying. The hand is for the comment section.
Oh, okay. I actually wanted to bring something up. COVID, guys, do you all agree with?
Wait, Cecil, before you move on to COVID, I think we should just close up this whole bullying thing. So Criswell Baloyi, are in a workplace environment, how do we tell bullying from the boss giving instructions? I think the energies don't lie.
Oh, that is a very tricky question, especially because depending on your position, you know, I know a lot of juniors, a lot of us who are going to be leaving university and going into the work environment, you are getting a position as a very junior person. And so you don't want to get on your supervisor or your director's nerves, right? And so likely when they give you an instruction, you're not going to say, "Oh, but you didn't talk to me nice. Talk to me nice." You're not going to do that, right? So I think it's really important to be aware of the structures that exist within the institution you're working in. So say it's a company and there's an HR department, and you know they certain companies do set procedures for how things like this should be handled. But I think also you need to be focused, right? I know I had a mentor last year who always said to me, your 2 years of serving articles may not be the nicest. They'll probably be the harshest 2 years of your working life, but you need to just power through it, right? So, you know, there are situations where the environment is so toxic that you probably will need to remove yourself from the environment. You know, sometimes it's not a good idea to stay in an extremely toxic environment in the name of bekezeling, right? Because sometimes it's going to get to a point where your mental health can't take it. But to the extent that you can, when you are focused, especially as a junior, where your boss is giving you these funny toned instructions, focus on what you're trying to do, you know, do your work. So in the case of articles like Artenis, aspiring Artenis, focus on your 2 years of articles, right? When your boss has a funny tone at him, just tell yourself that maybe a client gave him a hard time and he's taking it out on me. So you should, like, literally, you need to develop these coping mechanisms for yourself. You just need to say, maybe a client told him he's not doing the right thing and he doesn't understand why they're paying him so much money. And then he comes back and he shouts at you and tells you, my coffee doesn't have 2 spoons of sugar like I wanted to, like you need to build coping mechanisms for yourself, especially in positions where there's a big boss, a director, a supervisor, and you're a junior. And just be able to focus on your goals. But as soon as the environment becomes too toxic and you feel like this is something I can't keep enjoying, then try to remove yourself. But while you're planning on removing yourself, try and make a plan. Because you see, I've seen a lot of people who said, I woke up on a Monday morning and decided to quit my job because I didn't like it. What's your plan? Like, I genuinely believe you must have, because for me, I don't think I could wake up on a Monday morning where I've seen for weeks that I don't like this environment and I wasn't making a plan. And I just wake up on a Monday morning and I decide to leave. Am I supposed to come back to my parents' house? Am I supposed to keep eating their groceries? I didn't make a plan. You get what I mean? So when you find yourselves in environments where you would desire to remove yourself, while planning on your removal, try make a plan for when you have removed yourself. To find yourself in another place. Don't put your goals on hold. So for example, if I quit my articles, then everything stops. I'm stopping my period of being admitted. Everything literally comes to a halt. So you need to be able to consider, when weighed with your goals, how is it going to, to impact them? Will you survive it? Things like that.
All right. I think to answer Mr. Criswell, I'm going to say you first start by observing. And then if you're still getting vibes, because I still feel like energies don't lie. The instruction might be clean or, oh, go get me a cup of coffee, but how they say it or how their body language could be saying something else. So start by observing. And if you feel like, I'm not liking this vibe. Now, guys, I've always been confrontational, no matter how embarrassing it might look. I'd probably go to the office during lunchtime and ask, okay, boss, is there anything that I'm doing wrong? I saw the way you spoke to me, wara, 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 wara. And if maybe he gets personal about it, then I think it is it is your legal right to ask somebody from HR to be a mediator, because you are not going to survive in a toxic working environment.
But Happiness, what about those small companies where there isn't a distinct HR department? What about those companies where your boss is the person who hired you? There's no HR. When you want HR, you're going to that person who told you in that harsh tone, because I know small companies like that definitely exist, where there's no direct hierarchy of positions. So you have the boss and you have yourself and you're equally ranked with the people around you. What then?
Okay, I'm going to share an experience, although I'm not going to mention what really happened. I'm not going to go into details because, I remember having been put in a very toxic working environment where I'd actually feel so sad every time I had to go there. So I got to a point where I questioned God, because I felt like I was put in that place by God. So I'm like, okay, God, why would you do that? Like, why would you move me from here to there only for me to go through this? That whole prayer. I remember I prayed that prayer, and I hope this doesn't expose me, but I remember praying that prayer, and then I was crying because I'm such an emotional baby. I was crying like, but why, God? Like, why? If it's not for me, then just cut it off, remove me. And then 3 days later, exactly 3 days later, the boss, resigned with immediate effect. Nothing was explained. I'm like, okay, well, I serve a miracle working God. So if, guys, it's getting heated, I recommend my God. He comes highly rated. I rate him 5 stars. He answers prayers. So if you need help, please, my God, it's just a prayer away. So yeah, don't forget to cry while you're praying. Yeah, and we are 13 minutes to closing. So I just want to advise the people where we have officially closed the comment section. If you are new here or you just got in, we are talking about resolutions for the new year while reflecting on the past year. The conversation is actually interesting. I think we should have like an episode 2 of this. It's more like a shoot your shot type of a thing. If you have a question, you can throw it there in the comment section and we'll get to it next week. This doesn't mean we are not going to see your comments anymore. So just throw in whatever that you want to say. And probably next week, we're going to continue with it. And do not stop sharing the airing, because somebody might get here around 11 p.m. and they see that you've shared and they watch it, and it actually makes us feel so happy. So please, please, please share the live airing, and don't forget to like our YouTube channel. We are Bold News Radio, and follow our page here on Facebook. If you're not following it yet, we are also Bold News Radio. Over to you, Madam Host.
Thank you, Happiness. I definitely agree on the highly rated God. Like, listen, the ratings can't even describe the type of things. Like, it is amazing. But yeah, I see Criswell Baloyi said in the comments that we definitely need to define what workplace bullying looks like. So I think we should definitely have a conversation like that. You know, bullying isn't just in primary, high school, happens in the workplace. It can even happen in organizations, can happen in any way. Right? Bullying can even happen in a shop while you're just casually walking, going about your day, buying bread. So it's really important for us to be able to have these conversations. And I really hope we will have a conversation where we have an employer, where we're talking about workplace bullying, you know, have someone who works in HR, just to be able to navigate the dynamics of these difficult line drawing activities, because it's a very, like someone else said in the comments, it's a very thin line between workplace bullying and taking an instruction as a junior. But oh my gosh, there are so many things I would really desire us to talk about, but Cecil has something to add, so I'll just give it to him.
Oh yeah, I was saying I'm just gonna, give them a snip, just a bit of what I would like us to, just a bit of what I would like us to talk about next time, right? It's COVID, and you having the right not to be vaccinated, regardless of it being mandated. So yeah, we should definitely get into that, because you have legal basis for not getting it. So yeah.
So I still have rights in South Africa? Interesting.
Interesting, very interesting question, Happiness. But I just want to ask you, I know you said a snippet. We're just going to give it a couple more minutes. What do you do? So I know a lot of universities right now have been talking about mandatory vaccinations. So for a lot of first-year going students, universities open in about a month. So you've got right about that time to either decide you're going to get the mandatory vaccine, or I don't know, whatever pathway you're going to use to challenge it. But I want to ask you, Cecil, given that, I mean, everything is centered around time, especially in things like universities, right? How exactly would you challenge the mandatory vaccine policies that have been put into place, especially when the year is starting so soon? You know, I mean, things are starting to move. There are universities who have said you have no access into campus if you have not vaccinated, right? And I know with my university, they haven't necessarily made it mandatory, but they've made it extremely difficult for people who have chosen not to get vaccinated. So you need to produce a negative test every week. And guys, we know the price of COVID tests. It's not an easy thing to do it weekly. You know, they are required to wear a certain type of mask, specifically that mask, and only that mask. So I want to ask you, yes, it's disposable, but I think they said a KN95. I can't remember exactly, but not the blue ones that we normally, not a surgical mask. So I want to ask you, Cecil, given that everything is so time sensitive at this point in time, is it still advisable for someone to decide to fight the vaccination policies? Because what then when they refuse you, so right now, say for example, okay, I know school opens on the 21st for me, right? So if I went and I got my first jab now, I'd be able to get my second jab before lectures fully get started, right? So there's still time for people who want to go get vaccinated for purposes of getting into a university. But I want to ask you, so now that you're running out of time, what if your battle, because like you said, we mentioned rights, and Cecil, you and I know legal battles can go on for years. Like, and I'm pretty sure there's no student who is at a position where they are willing to wait for the outcome of a court case for such a long time and not have access to universities. So, what exactly are you thinking along those lines? Given that, you're running out of time, you want to get into first year and they're telling you no vaccine, no entrance. What do you do?
That's a hard one. Hey, that's a hard one. But I would say there is this. I'm not going to give you much today. I'm just not going to give you much today. So there is this tennis player, one of the best tennis players, and then they have refused to get that vaccine. And right now, their case has been won. They won the case. So there's precedence. I'll leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. And I'll get that.
Need to remind you.
So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, you're going to leave it at that, but I need to remind you that it's not South African president. So it can
That's
only
international law. That's international law.
But
Where there is no law that helps or that is relevant in South Africa, we look to international law, right? So
I totally get you. They say the courts may consider international law, must consider international law, must. But remember, the consideration does not necessarily mean that's going to be the outcome, right? So I need our viewers to be realistic. Yes, Djokovic won his appeal, and we're saying
why are you giving it up?
I need our viewers to go and do research. When we come back and we have this conversation, I need everyone to be on the same page. We must be able to, because there's just so much in this conversation. But he won his appeal, but we are not necessarily certain that when our courts decide to consider this international law, will they come to the same decision? So don't get false hopes because he won. That's just what I'm trying to give to our
viewers. But as well, don't lose hope because South Africa does not have precedence on such a matter. You mustn't lose hope. You might be the person who brings precedence on the matter. So, no, we're not losing hope.
Let's hope, so you will get a pro bono lawyer to be able to take this up, because I am sure I do not have the legal fees to be fighting the University of Pretoria. I am grand. But definitely I think this is a highly publicized topic. Anyone who decides to take it up will most likely get someone who's willing to represent them. So if you have the courage to go and fight, I definitely encourage making use of our democracy. So if you want to make use of the democracy, definitely if there's something you don't agree with and you want the courts to rule over, take it to court. We will be watching, and very eagerly so.
Most definitely. And I mean, it should be not easier, but it should be doable within a university space. Because if it gets momentum from there, imagine the impact, imagine what can happen. Universities have, So we are running out of time.
We are definitely running out of time. So this is, there are so many things we had thought we were going to discuss today. I think we got carried away a lot on giving our first year going students some advice, but we needed to give you guys advice before you fall privy to the traps. So please, guys, listen in on our next few episodes. We're definitely going to be here next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. same time. And we are looking forward to seeing you guys. And like we said, if you have any topics that you would like us to discuss, please let us know. Yes, our comment section is closed for live responses, but you are still able to drop your comments in and we will look at it. So if you think of a topic while you're sleeping and you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, nah, I want Happiness to tell me this, then go write it in the comments. We want to hear from you. We want to, have a great time, because, we're having conversations, and this was a lovely evening. It was always great associating with these bold African youth people here. I'm going to give them an opportunity to say their closing remarks.
Oh, thank goodness, because I've been dying to finish my Cinderella story. Guys, my workplace bullying story, it doesn't end in tears. There's actually a happy ending. So when the boss resigned, we actually became friends. So I know he's probably watching. So hey, yeah. So it was a happily ever after story, the Cinderella story. It didn't end in tears. So yeah, to our viewers, I see our viewership is also increasing. So thank you guys. Thank you a million times. And one more thing that we all need to do before we end this, please click on the sharing button. It's there on your bottom left, bottom right, if I'm not mistaken. So please do the right thing, support your family, and yeah, let's build a better Africa for ourselves. Good night from me. We love you.
We love you. We most definitely love you. As you pose those questions, hashtag Baywaves, hashtag Bold Moves Radio, hashtag. And
don't forget to subscribe.
And subscribe, of course. Guys, come on. Like, really, subscribe, man. Subscribe. It's that easy. It's just a little click.
A click away.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Like they've said, please do share with your family, share with your friends, share with your colleagues. Maybe you have a toxic colleague who may very well need to listen to this conversation. So please do share. Like we said, we want to deliver content that you genuinely enjoy. This is why we're giving you an opportunity to comment and let us know what you like to listen to, so that you're attracted, to listening to Baywaves, because this is meant to empower each and every one of us, and we really enjoy sitting here and having conversations with you. You know how sometimes you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to sit at a chair for 2 hours, but the 2 hours flies by so quick, and you're just like, no, I still had so much I wanted to say. So we will definitely be continuing our conversation next week, and we hope to see you guys here. Please do think about the things that we have spoken about. Cecil don't want to tell you too much. Go find out his secrets that he's going to present to you about COVID. And so it was lovely. So from us,
we love you. Like to see you again next week. So yeah, peace out.
Good night. And don't forget to fetch your New Year's resolutions. Please work on them. You told us your resolutions today. Next week, Happiness will be showing us that she was at the gym. It is for a fact.
You cannot do that. Don't do that. That's bullying.
We are fetching.
No, we need to address the Cecil. Let me just bully me on air. Bye.
Thank you for joining us.